our radio. This is worksheet number 3, platelets and hemostasis. So platelets are really important to clot blood. Hemostasis, so hemo means blood, and stasis means, what does stasis mean? Hemostasis means like stopping, yeah. So hemostasis is the stoppage of bleeding, which isn't a legitimate term, but hey. So platelets are known as thrombocytes. So red blood cells are erythrocytes, white blood cells are leukocytes, platelets are thrombocytes. Which of the below is not a function of platelets? All these are true except engulfs and destroys pathogens and debris in the body. This is a function of white blood cells, not platelets. Platelets, on the other hand, aid with hemostasis by sticking to broken surfaces. They adhere, so adhere is like they glue the ends of broken blood vessels, and they form a platelet plug. Platelets also cause smooth muscle in walls of broken blood vessels to contract. And we will learn more about these processes as we go through this worksheet. So hemostasis is known, I don't know what that one's all about, but anyway, hemostasis or hemo? I do not know what I was putting. What is the internal balance? I'm getting mixed up. Homeo, not hemio. Yeah, this is homeostasis. So, yeah, so I tried to trick you guys, but I tricked myself. All right, so the statement was asking, homeostasis is known as a stoppage of bleeding. This is false. I put aha because I thought I tricked you, but I didn't. But hemostasis is a stoppage of bleeding. So, 3 actions of hemostasis, which we will go into. There's blood vessel, also known as vascular spasm, so blood vessel spasm, and that just means the blood vessel kind of, it doesn't spaz out like with a seizure, it just constricts, right? Because if you like slice your leg open, I want those blood vessels to constrict very much because I won't bleed out. Another action of hemostasis, so another method that you stop bleeding, is the formation of a platelet plug, so platelet plug formation, and also blood coagulation. So this next portion is just going through facts over each of these processes. We're going to start with blood vessel spasm, platelet plug formation, and then we're going to end with blood coagulation. So it's a lot of like memory. I didn't know how else to put these in question format without being effective. So I tried to be creative, but it didn't work out. So I'm just like, okay, I'm just going to be boring about it, and we'll talk about each one. So this is a true-false challenge. The question is stating, in vasospasm, the smooth muscle in blood vessels dilate. And this is false. They do not dilate. So if you dilate, you'll kill your person. So whenever oh, I'm under true-false. Are you there? Where did we review? Oh. Is this it?
No, it's like vasospasm action equals what? Like vessel.
Oh, well, the formatting's a little messed up, but this is not the first time it's happened. I want to see maybe if I put it down here. Yeah. Yeah, so in the review portion, thank you for stopping me. I got excited. So vasospasm action constricts vessels. The platelet plug action forms a physical barrier, and coagulation forms a blood clot. So that's kind of how, when we go through it, how to think about them. Let's make sure that I'm on the right page. Okay. Yeah, so these are all just a bunch of little facts that are going to be like, you'll want to rip your hair out. Not really. Please don't. So, oh no. Okay. Vasospasm is the first one? Okay. So in vasospasm, the smooth muscle in the blood dilates. This is false. It actually constricts, right? Because if you sever your leg, you want that to constrict. You want it to shut. Dilate means to open. You want it to close up and prevent blood from gushing out of you. Number 2, vasospasm is triggered by a break in the small blood vessel. This is true, because if there's a little break, vasospasm is going to be like, okay, I'm going to try to close you. Vascular spasms are long-lasting. This is false. Vascular spasms are very short-lasting. You may not think 30 minutes is very short, but it is when you're bleeding. So vascular spasms are short-lasting. That's how you make this true. Good news is you have other long-lasting processes in your body, like the platelet plug, serotonin, and blood. What's serotonin? Oh, maybe that helped. Okay, like platelet plug and blood coagulation. I don't know why I put serotonin in there. I think I read something. I don't remember. Is it a blood specimen? Oh.
Serotonin is released in response.
Yeah, that is true. They get released in response. Yeah. It's been a while. I got this from a textbook, so yeah, that's helpful. That's helpful. I thought maybe I did a typo or was thinking anyway. So if you have only had vascular spasms, you would be short-lived. No pun intended. So vascular spasms are not very effective in large vessel breaks because if you think about it, vascular spasms are only helpful with small vessel breaks. They're not at all helpful with large vessels because your blood vessels are a muscle. Okay, and imagine a muscle trying to hold all that blood in. I mean, it would get weak and it would just kind of poop out on you, and that's not very effective. So we're going to move on to platelet plug, which is a little bit more effective. So the platelet plug is triggered by the exposure of platelets to collagen. Or actually, it is false because I put pathogens, but collagen is that makes it true. Yeah, you're good. So if this is your blood, right, we have our red blood cells, which are just kind of hanging out. We then have our, I don't know how to draw white blood cells. And then we got our platelets, which I'm going to do in black. So you get like a splint, no, you get stabbed, okay? That's a poor excuse of a knife. Okay, thank you. So you get stabbed, okay? And you start bleeding out. Okay? On the outside of your blood vessel, you have collagen. So your platelets know that collagen, did I spell that right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Your platelets know that when the blood is in collagen, so it's a platelet, let's do P's. It knows that that's not a good thing. So your platelets will, because they sense it, right, because you got stabbed. So they sense this collagen that's not supposed to be in your blood. So they can feel it kind of like when you're starting to bleed. So platelets stop bleeding by forming a physical barrier. So they'll kind of like form a wall, so to speak. So platelet, physical, they both start with P's. And that's basically the end of platelets. The next one is blood coagulation, and this is a series of events that form a gelatinous clot. And this is great, if you're bleeding, but it's not so great if, you're laying in bed, you get a clot, you start moving, that clot breaks, it goes to your brain, you got a stroke. Goes to your heart, you have a heart attack. Goes to your lungs, you got a pulmonary embolism. So clots aren't really that fun unless you're bleeding. And bleeding is not that much fun either. So this is collagen. Just remember, collagen with platelets. But now we're going to coagulation. So, coagulation, gelatinous clot.
Is that like a scab?
It could, platelets.
Coagulation would be the series of events that form a gelatinous clot.
Yeah.
Technically be like a scab.
Actually, a scab would be more of the platelet, what we just had up here, the physical barrier. A gelatinous clot, I mean, it could be a really spongy. You know how I don't know if you guys were scab pickers when you were little. I was, but sometimes you could pick scabs, and if they were really deep, they were really kind of like jello-y. I don't know. Yeah. So I mean that could be like coagulation, but like the scabby portion of it is like your
My
platelets.
skin hurts thinking about pulling a scab off.
Yeah, I don't pull scabs anymore. Thank goodness, right?
She itches.
as I itch myself, where are the scabs?
JK.
Yeah, there you go. So coagulation is initiated by um, intrinsic clotting mechanisms only. This is false. Coagulation is actually initiated by intrinsic and extrinsic clotting mechanisms, which we will go into. Coagulation, so forming a blood clot, includes the teamwork of clotting factors, vitamin K, procoagulants, anticoagulants, and fibrinogen, also known as fibrin. This is true. So if you get a question about coagulation, these are some keywords that should stand out. Is it a, right?
Is not correct.
Yeah.
What you just said.
Yeah, no. Yeah, vitamin K is true.
I'm like, no, it has to be true.
Yeah, that's true.
They make this clotting.
Yeah. So the statement is vitamin K is an important clotting factor. Yeah, that's true. Vitamin K only aids in functioning of clotting factors. Oh, in the function. Okay, so this is actually false. Vitamin K alone, it doesn't clot, but it helps clotting factors do their job.
Okay.
So yeah. But I know what you were saying. I know that's very confusing.
So it's not a clotting factor.
It's not a clotting factor. Yeah, it aids in clotting. So, but no, that was a good catch. Vitamin K doesn't clot on its own, but it does help other ones function. So number 11, coagulation, also the formation of a blood clot. It depends on a balance between procoagulants and anticoagulants. This is true. Procoagulants, because when we need a blood clot to be formed, we need procoagulants to be like rah rah rah. We need stuff to promote coagulation. But we also need anticoagulants to break down that blood clot so it doesn't travel through our body, so we don't get a stroke, so we don't get a heart attack, and so we don't get a pulmonary embolism. So coagulation, you need both. Thrombin, the next statement, thrombin converts fibrinogen into fibrin. This is true. Do you disagree? If you read something different, please let me know. This is from the, when I took anatomy, we used the old edition of the book, and then they changed the year I got done. So if you see any mix-up or anything that isn't quite right, it could be because the book was re-edited and something needs to be fixed. So if you see something that's not true or something that doesn't agree, please let me know.
So it doesn't necessarily say that. It just says some important clotting factors in blood coagulation are the conversion of the globulin prothrombin to thrombin by the presence of calcium,
Okay.
and that activates fibrin.
Yeah.
And then fibrinogen, conversion of fibrinogen to fibrin sticks to the blood. Wait, okay.
Yeah.
That's what I was trying to read through it because I didn't understand how thrombin and fibrin work together.
So basically, you have fibrin, which is inactivated, okay? You have fibrin in your blood. Fibrinogen. Okay? Ogen means it's inactive. Okay? So it's kind of like floating around doing its own thing, but it's just in the blood because we don't want our blood to, because fibrin is really important for blood clotting. If this was just fibrin, if it was activated, then our blood would clot sporadically and then we'd be like busting all over the place, which we don't need. So when you have thrombin, so just fibrin's floating around, just say you get cut or something happens. So read the statement again.
Conversion of the globulin prothrombin to thrombin
Mm-hmm.
by the presence of calcium ions activates fibrin. Okay, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
So you have prothrombin, which is also inactivated.
So then when calcium is there,
Calcium,
calcium is present and fibrin is activated
Yeah. So calcium, go on, sorry.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, so activate.
Yeah. So calcium activates prothrombin, turns prothrombin into thrombin. Thrombin then activates fibrinogen and turns into fibrin.
Okay, that makes sense. The wording on this does not make sense.
Okay.
This paper.
But this, okay.
That makes sense.
All right. Yeah, but that was a good point to bring up because I wasn't even going to go into prothrombin.
Not that we probably really need to know that much about it.
Right, but I mean, it's just, calcium. Basically, so another thing too, you need calcium to form clots too. Just keep that in mind. Okay. So the formation of a blood clot is an example of a negative feedback. This is false. Blood clotting is a positive feedback. Okay. So how does a positive feedback work?
It continues to go until there's something that happens, like
Yeah.
result, like a baby.
Yeah, like a
So if you're having a child and this study only do things,
Mhm.
positive feedback in the body.
Right. So positive feedback has to do with having a baby and blood clotting. Basically, if the stimulus is removed. So with having a baby, it's very easy to, the baby's a stimulus. You remove the baby, pop that thing out, you're good. Everything's done. Right.
I've never had one.
Neither have I. Yeah. But with blood clotting, the stimulus is that, blood coming out of you. That's a stimulus. So when you get that to stop, then your blood clotting factors stop working, which is good. We want that. So this is just a little bit of a thing. If you had to choose your favorite method of hemostasis, it would be vascular spasms. This is false. Vascular spasms are short-lived. They're only effective in small. I don't know why I did this, but yeah, because it's fun, and I'm a fun person apparently. I mean, the platelet plug is nice and simple, but it's not the most effective way of hemostasis. So to make this statement true, you should change vascular spasms into blood coagulation. Coagulation. Yeah. That's what we want. We want to be coagulated. We want to be clotted. We want this to happen. See, calcium stimulates, thrombin stimulates. Okay. So another review that we just had. So going over what we just learned, vasospasms constrict vessels. Platelet plug forms a physical barrier. And coagulation forms a blood clot.
But that's the same thing that was on the presentation.
Yeah, I just added that up there. So
Jeez, Veronica.
anyway, it was just a review, right? So now we're going to look at, because one of the questions we're asking about intrinsic and extrinsic factors. I don't know how much in depth you'll go about this, but this is just for your benefit if you see it in your reading and if it's something you want to go through. So when blood comes in contact with the damaged tissue outside the blood vessel, the key word is outside, it's an intrinsic factor. When blood comes in contact with a foreign substance, such as collagen.
Wait, you just said intrinsic.
Oh, I did say intrinsic. Oh, I meant extrinsic. Okay, extrinsic. Okay, good. So outside the body, extrinsic. When the blood comes in contact with a foreign substance, such as collagen, just say there's a piece of it like floating around. This can actually start without tissue damage, and this is intrinsic. This is asking, is stimulated by the Hageman factor found inside blood. This is an intrinsic factor. This is just if you see it in your reading. You're probably not going to be tested over this, but if you see it, just know Hageman factors inside the blood vessel. It's stimulated by tissue thromboplastin, not found in blood. This is an extrinsic. So there's that. Fibrin mesh, intrinsic, forms a blood clot, extrinsic, but then also some intrinsic factors also form a blood clot. Yeah, so that's a little bit, it's just a little summary, so when you go through, that helps.
Will you
Yeah.
give like 3 minutes and let me look all this
Which one? The bottom part? Yeah, you can go ahead.
Like,
Yeah, I'll send it out, and I think you can see it in this PowerPoint with that. So, you mean get it out of here? Unless you want to, I'll just leave it up.
I mean, you can do it.
Yeah. So this matching thing though, blood clotting is really important, like we were talking about earlier, because it stops bleeding. But blood clotting is also can be really dangerous if we don't have things to tear the blood clot apart. So that is what this matching thing is all about. These are things that act to get rid of the blood clot. This happens after blood clotting.
A thrombus is a moving clot. An embolus is an abnormal clot, right?
Actually, embolus is a moving clot.
So a thrombus, how is that an abnormal blood clot?
So you mean
Does
I
it
can.
seem abnormal to the body?
Yeah, so thrombus is like, you'll learn about this when you learn about strokes, but a thrombus clot is like when plaque layers form and kind of seal up that area.
Okay.
An embolus is kind of when something
So
flows
like
through your
vein-
thrombosis. Well, sometimes it is also that plaque can also come off and rupture and get lodged somewhere too. So that's a thrombus. So technically it can move.
But it doesn't as often as
Yeah, but an embolus can be a moving blood clot. An embolus can also be like, now this is gonna freak you out, but this never ever happens. I am just saying this, but just say like, it happens like if there's a foreign body in your blood, okay? And like, this never happens, but how I think about an embolus is like, if you get a shot with a needle and a piece of that needle breaks and goes and moves throughout your bloodstream, that can also be an embolus. So an embolus is anything moving, but that never
But your body
happens.
would try to attack that, and it would
Yeah.
turn into like a little
Clot, yeah, it would try to coagulate on it, yeah, that's very true.
got it.
So that is that. So heparin, what basophils and mast cells secrete to prevent coagulation. Plasmin digests fibrin threads and dissolves blood clots. So this will be dissolved by plasmin. The next one, antithrombin, inactivates thrombin. So this will tell thrombin stop working. This is, what did I say, antithrombin? Tells thrombin stop working. A thrombus, abnormal blood clot. Platelet-derived growth factor causes smooth muscle cells and fibroblasts to repair damaged blood vessel walls. So platelet-derived growth factor, you see the word growth factor in there, is kind of like after the platelet and everything is formed, then you start repairing. And then embolus is a moving blood clot. It also can be a moving anything, really. So that could get lodged. Are there any questions over clotting?